pray. Stretchy stretches before we begin.
Can you hear me now?
I can. It's sounds like okay. You're singing now.
I know.
Okay. Well, thanks for trying to one-up me. Cool.
I mean, you could also sing. It's a voice, and you just move the tones where it needs to be to hit the right notes. No?
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I can't do high notes.
You don't have to. You have to practice to get to the high notes.
If only we knew a professional singer that could help us.
Oh, that's right, we do.
We do.
Oh my goodness. That's funny how that works.
It is funny how that works.
Is it
I wonder,
here?
You know what? How about this? Famous singer that we know that is listening to this, because I know you listen to this. Whip us. She should whip us into shape, you think, right? We could do a musical episode.
That's actually something we have never done. That
like literally sing the episode out.
Could you imagine Civil War if they just broke out into song? It'd be just a colossal failure.
Actually, I kind of want to see that now.
I would want to see that.
See?
That would be dope. I think we could do that. Can we?
Wait, you mean us do Civil War?
We could. Who would you be?
I mean, you know who I would want to be, obviously.
So easy.
Duh. Is that a question?
Yeah. It's like I'm not your friend, and I don't know what you're going to answer in the very next moments.
Duh. I don't care if I'm there for literally 45 seconds. I'm gonna be him.
Yeah. But I would love to see, like, Tony Stark and Captain America jumping up and hero weighing and lifting each other up into the air and throwing them to the ground. I think that would be new. Maybe that's what they can do. Like, for the next decade, they just recap everything.
Kevin Feige, call us.
I think if you keep saying it, it will just go out into the stratosphere and it will actually happen.
Yeah. And trust me, we could probably get a good team together. We know some people.
We do know some people. I know a guy that knows a guy.
I know a girl that knows a guy.
Hey, there you go. Hey. Greetings and welcome to our show, Fresh Geek Context. It is here we discuss insightful views on a routine bi-weekly basis over the incredibly nerdy things we can't stop talking about. To take you on this dorky ride are your host, Josh.
Hello, everyone.
And myself, Jay. So why don't you take a seat, sit back, relax. We're here to do all the heavy lifting. It is about to get nerdy. This is episode 92.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Are you telling me there's another streaming service?
Yes.
Shut the Peacock. Ugh.
Yeah, you heard that right. NBCUniversal is out with a new streaming service called Peacock.
I am seriously tired of this.
And it's complete with classic sitcoms like Parks and Rec. And also classic movies like Jurassic Park, even though that's not a classic movie, but it is to me.
I'm going to have to download a new app now.
And unlike other streaming services that are currently out, like Disney Plus and HBO Max, Peacock actually has a free tier. So there's that.
Ugh, you're not helping.
It's a free tier, though.
I have to create a new account.
So let's unpackage this.
Gladly.
Okay, so do you have it?
Yes.
So what's the problem?
And listen, I'm just really, really tired of creating new accounts for every single service that comes out.
Okay, that's legitimate, but I don't believe or know of any more massive corporations that are going to be pushing out streaming services in their pipeline.
I don't feel about this the way they think they want me to feel about this.
Why?
Okay, listen, for one, it's not on Roku, right?
Okay.
It's not on Amazon Fire Stick either, so what's the point?
And you would want that if you would want that support if you want to have more viewers on your platform, so yeah.
I mean, Roku is literally 60% of viewers in America. Like, what are they doing?
I don't know. They could roll it out later. That's usually what they do, don't they?
Well, let's talk about the thing. What do you think of it?
I mean, it's a streaming service at this point. I mean, I think it would be fair to say that I may have streaming service fatigue because it's becoming a lot more involved. It's fun when it's one service. Two service, you got some variety. Now there's literally like 10 or more popular services that are out there, and for you to keep track of all of these things is hard. But I will say there are some third party services that you can use, like the Apple TV app. You can very much sync all your services together and access everything in one place. If you're looking for a movie to watch, but you're not sure if it's on a streaming service, you can search for it. It's there. So that's making Peacock a little bit better because I can search for something. I'm like, oh, great, I have access to it. I can watch it. But as far as the app itself, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There are some things that I really like about it. For example, it does have the ability to tell you that a movie is going to be going away in 16 days, and 14 days, and 8 days, which is something that I have literally been asking streaming services to do, but they either seem reluctant or they seem unwilling to do that. I don't know why they don't, but they don't. That's what I'm seeing right now. As far as the content, I don't know if it's like something I'm gushing over. Like there are a couple of movies here and there, there's a couple of shows here and there, but not I gotta have it.
All right, they are redeeming themselves.
Why?
They do have Psych.
Okay, there's Psych.
All 8 seasons.
Yeah.
And both movies.
Okay.
Wait, both movies. Hold on.
Both movies?
Oh, you sons of bees.
What happened?
Psych 2 is a Peacock original.
Yes.
They made the movie for this.
Isn't that a good thing?
Now I need to watch it.
Yeah.
It got me.
I mean, that's how it works. So for the most part, we can see that a streaming service on its own is nothing without its originals. I mean, they have the original Netflix films. Hulu has Hulu originals. HBO Max has HBO Max originals. Disney Plus has Disney Plus originals. Apple TV Plus is all originals. So that's usually the defining identity of what makes a streaming service work. So
also, I'm not a big fan of the UI of the app, by the way.
Yeah, but most of the times I'm very rare. Like, again, if you're using another service to aggregate all of these things, I don't really know if that's going to be needed for me to go through that app. But it is important because if you don't have that service to aggregate it, then yes, you do need to go through that service. But like I said, there is also a live function, which is something that the other services don't have. Yes, Hulu does have a live option, but this seems a little bit different. So I'm wondering how they're going to grow that from here.
I mean, we'll see. In all honesty, like NBC has a streaming service. We have CBS that had a streaming service. I mean, all of these channels are getting their own streaming services. And then if you get them all together, kind of, A, it's expensive. B, we're kind of back to the whole cable situation.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of this time we're using cable companies, we're just using the internet to kind of cut the middleman almost.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's a good thing because we're getting the content directly from the source now, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's just as expensive if you subscribe to all of these.
True, but if you don't want Peacock, then you don't necessarily have to have it.
Which is true.
Right? So if I do Netflix and I do Disney Plus, and those are the only two services that I want, then yeah, I'm saving a lot of money because I literally am paying for the things that I want, which is what cable has been, again, reluctant to do or unwilling to do. But now it's here, HBO Max people have been asking for HBO Max just by themselves for years. I know this because I wanted to watch Sopranos, but my parents didn't want to sign up for HBO. I just wanted HBO on its own.
Right.
But the fact that they're doing that now, I think, is pretty great. Um, and you don't have to get stuck into these contracts for like years at a time. I remember getting stuck in a contract for 2 years, and my dad did nothing but groan and complain. And I mean, it was odd watching my dad, just be in that situation where he was in something that he did, for the moment and didn't like it. So the fact that there's no contracts brings us back to the streaming episode when we first started talking about streaming television.
Right.
If you just want to watch something for the month and when you're done, you can cancel it.
Yeah, I guess. So, I don't know. I'll give it a try. In all honesty, the Psych thing did catch my eye. I really love that show, Psych. So if you have not watched it and you're listening to this podcast, check out Psych. It's a really funny show.
It is.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be rewatching that. Because I don't think I can watch it anywhere else. I know it used to be on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on Netflix for a bit. I don't know if they're still on there. And if they're not and they're only on here, then, yeah, I'll keep it around for a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll as far as the tiers that Peacock currently has, there is a free tier where you get quite a bit of things that are available. From what I've been able to see, there's a lot of SNL episodes. There's a lot of Office shorts. I'm sure that The Office will be on there shortly because currently it is on Netflix.
By the end of the year, right? I think or the beginning of next year.
Right. So, Netflix is slowly losing its content. Disney was the first vocal one. Now mostly all of their, I guess, major hits are currently on Disney Plus. So all of the Star Wars films are currently on Disney Plus. I believe there's only one more Marvel Cinematic Universe movie on Netflix that has yet to make that jump. There's still a couple of Disney live action films, some animated films. So Incredibles 2 is still on Netflix. Mary Poppins Returns is currently on Netflix, but like I said, all of these have a deadline for it to migrate over. You will be seeing all of these things relatively soon.
Yeah, they're going back home.
They're all going back home. Friends, which was on Netflix for a long period of time, has now gone back to its home. It's currently on HBO Max, and you can find the entire series there. And as far as Parks and Rec and The Office, those all belong to NBCUniversal, so they will be finding their home on their new service. So the question I have is, I'm wondering if they're going to move it past the free tier at one point or another. I'm hoping that they don't, but that all remains to be seen. What I do want to share here is that there is a free tier. It is $5 a month after the free tier. That just gives you a month full of catalog plus as well as ads, and then there's $10 a month to go completely ad free for the entire library.
I mean, it's not terrible, but still.
It is. I mean, again, it's streaming service, and if you want it, you want it. And for you, it may be an investment if you care about classic monster movies, which we were talking about, many, many episodes ago. Sometimes you just gotta have Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Alfred Hitchcock, which I'm a big fan of, but they have some movies there, but not the ones that you really want to watch.
Yeah.
They're smart. They do figure this out.
Yeah, I think I'll just stick with the free tier, and then I'm just going to stick with my Hulu and Disney Plus and whatnot. Yeah. But speaking of Disney, did you hear the news?
What news?
So this was on Twitter that we found from Twitter user at Scott Guston. Disney confirms Primeval Whirl at Animal Kingdom, Stitch's Great Escape at Magic Kingdom, and Rivers of Light at Animal Kingdom are permanently closed.
No. Come on.
Yeah. So there's a theory from one of our mutual friends.
Like what?
So he states, by the way, so people that cannot see me, I am standing straight. I am looking directly into the microphone because I believe that's where the audience's eyes lay.
Sure.
But he states that Disney may go back to its original format in which companies will sponsor rides because they're struggling financially.
like Verizon Wireless presents the Indominus Rex.
Okay, first of all, wow. You went there. Second of all, context, please.
Context is Jurassic World. This is a movie from a very big franchise which belongs to NBCUniversal.
It has dinosaurs.
And it may be on Peacock soon. We don't actually know.
Listen, the best movie, Jurassic Park 3, is on there. Anyway, moving on.
Sure, we'll give you that. I don't agree, but we'll just give you that one. Jurassic World, where park manager Claire, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, got funding for the park for their new dinosaur, the Indominus Rex. And there was so this is happening. This is going across all rides and different sections of the park then.
Yeah, it may. You don't know.
So, Tron the Tide, brought to you by Tide, is happening.
Did you just call it Tron the Tide?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the marketing you're coming up with?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay. What about like BP presents the land at Epcot? Yeah. It's funny because they don't care about the land.
I feel like this can have really bad and terrible ramifications.
Yeah, like Chick-fil-A presents Philharmonic.
Oh, does that mean they'll be closed on Sundays?
Maybe they'll be closed on Sundays.
Ooh, you know what? I got one. You ready for this one?
Sure.
Okay. The Mexican Pavilion is brought to you by Fabuloso.
Oh, that's good. How about ASPCA presents Goofy's Barnstormer?
You know what? Maybe.
How about Great Value Clover Honey presents The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh?
Okay, you know what? I got one.
What's that?
Jack Daniels presents Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, see, that's a nice one. I like that. See, we need to have you on the marketing team for Disney. I hope they pay you $1 million. That's great.
I hope I get paid $1 million.
I mean, you deserve it. That's just beautiful. So you heard it here first at FGC Podcast. The only thing I'm thinking of is like Chicken of the Sea presents The Little Mermaid, the ride.
Do you think they use the fish in The Little Mermaid to make the Chicken of the Sea?
Maybe. Because, it's only so far from Philharmonic, Like, yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking about this because, I need food. I think this is what I need. I think I need food.
All I'm thinking about is Finny Fun.
Oh, we were having fun and you had to destroy it. You had to bring it up.
I mean, listen, we were talking about musicals earlier.
Oh, I'm going to be away from Disney for so long because of COVID.
Yeah, it's a thing. They're currently open here in the land that is Florida, not the rapper. I have not gone, nor will I go.
I was planning on going, but I don't know. I mean, who knows?
I'm probably not going to Disney until maybe next year.
Yeah.
Unless it gets extremely better somehow in the next few months, which I highly doubt, honestly. I'm probably going to pass.
Or Miracle Cure just comes out and just heals and saves everyone.
Yeah, you know what we need? At the end of the Amazing Spider-Man, when the lizard was going to make a gas turn everybody into lizards, but then they used it to make everyone normal again? Yeah, we need that just for COVID.
Very soon, we're going to get up to a point where that might actually be COMARAC.
Amazing Spider-Man?
Yes.
I'm excited. There are legitimately good things in that movie. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but there are. Just saying.
I mean, you can also have that. You're allowed to have two things for this episode. You can have that.
What? I can get multiple things.
Jurassic Park 3, I don't know if I can truly give you. I will give.
You know what? Fine. I will substitute this Amazing Spider-Man comment for that Jurassic Park 3 comment.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's just not that great.
I was obviously being facetious when it came to Jurassic Park 3. Are you kidding me? The movie's horrible.
Facetious, also great word.
There's a dinosaur that speaks to Alan in his head. Come on.
Yeah, don't remind me. So, we are taking a small break.
Wait, what? We still do that?
Yes. And when we return, we're going to be reviewing a movie.
Oh, which one? All the theaters are closed. Wait, what?
COMARAC.
Oh. Yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the FGC podcast. We are your hosts, still in quarantine, Jace and Josh.
Warrantine.
It's a reference to the Princess Bride.
Uh-huh.
Matt Widge.
Oh. Are we reviewing that, by the way?
No. What are you doing?
Deleting Peacock. What do you think I'm doing? I said I was going to delete it.
Yeah. So, are you going to play the music?
What music? Oh, yeah. Little rusty. Gotta get used to these new controls. And click.
You might be missing some of the benefits that stereo can provide.
We have a segment here called COMARAC, where we review old movies.
Older.
Yeah, so what's the cutoff? Wait, like 20 years?
Yeah, I guess. That places us in, 2000? Does that mean we're going to review X-Men?
No, that would actually been an amazing idea.
Alright, well, what is it then?
We're reviewing Superman.
Yes! Yes! Wait, you're not moving a little bit. No.
Yep.
No, why?
Why not is the real question.
Which one?
3. Why do you look like you're in pain?
3. I am. But seriously, 3?
Why not 3?
Alright, well, I mean, I guess. Right.
Okay, so where do we begin?
This is a movie.
So let's give some further context. We're reviewing this movie because it's easily accessible. If you are subscribed to HBO Max, Correct. It's actually available there. So if you're currently watching this in the month of July of 2020, you can turn on HBO Max and you can watch Superman 3. And you can also see what it is that we're seeing. What is it that we're seeing?
We're seeing what, the product of what they thought a good Superman movie was.
At the time. So
this movie came out, what year?
Yeah, 1983.
1983.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a movie product of its time. We'll get to that in a second.
Sure.
Yeah, the thing was, this movie came off of 2 really great films, right? You can argue whether you like the Richard Lester version of, Superman 2, or if you like the Donner cut better, whatever. In any case, Superman 1 and Superman 2 are still both, to this day, I would consider really good Superman movies. Mm-hmm. Again, it doesn't matter which cut of Superman 2 you prefer. Mm-hmm. And with that success, you would think like, oh, cool, they're going to continue this franchise because it's making money, of course. And so they wanted a trilogy, right?
Sure.
They obviously ended up making 4, which was a huge mistake. That will be another discussion. But 3 came out, and you would think, okay, they're going to continue the success that they had with 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. It did not go as well. Did not go as well planned. Now, I will say, the movie entirely isn't bad. there are some genuinely good moments that happen in this film. We'll probably talk about those in a few moments here. But overall, the quality of it really dips, I feel. The actual, not necessarily the funness, because there are definitely fun moments when you see Christopher Reeve on screen, when you see Richard Pryor on screen, which, by the way, Richard Pryor and Christopher Reeve, those two saved this film for me entirely. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels different. And then also there's the whole thing with, Lois not being there for multiple reasons that are behind the scenes reasons. I don't know. It just feels different. Even though I believe Richard Lester also directed this one, which he finished Superman 2, if I'm correct about that, right?
I'm going to be honest with you, and this was my question. My memory of this movie, I'm just curious about, what is your first memory of this movie?
So my first memory of this movie is that my brother was always a Superman fan. Mm-hmm. Has been a huge Superman fan his entire life.
Right.
He had all of the films on VHS. And by me saying that he had all the films on VHS, he means when they played on HBO or on TV, he hit record on a blank videotape. So I watched them in that form. I didn't really see the theatrical versions of these films until the Blu-rays and the DVDs actually came out, which I will get to in a little bit why that is important, that I watched the TV versions and not the DVD versions. Right. Which is, by the way, the DVD versions are what's available if you buy it on iTunes or if you watch it on HBO Max.
Right.
So my exposure was watching, ripped versions from HBO or TBS or something. Right. So memories that I have of all of these films are the movie playing, the movie going to a commercial, and then, you hit pause on it, and then you hit record again when the movie comes back. So, in my head, there are certain scenes that I have tied where it goes to commercial, and I hear that piece, that first part of the commercial in my head before it goes to the next scene. It's kind of funny. But that was my exposure to all the Superman films at first. How about yours?
So very much like the first COMARAC Superman review that we did. I remember my dad bringing home a copy of the movie, and I never asked questions of where he got it. He just had it. And when he had it, I was just able to just watch it. And I remember loving every single Superman movie that I was able to watch. I was a fan. I remember I had this red bathrobe. Whenever I watched Superman, I would always put it on and would stand on top of the chair and jump off because I thought that the cape made you fly. Of course. My brother was very quick to tell me that I was wrong, which I didn't appreciate, but that's a therapy session. Magic. Yeah, that was a therapy session for another time. Whatever. But I do remember this movie very clearly, and I remember Richard Pryor in this movie, and I remember the computer, and I remember a lot of things about this movie. But it's strange because, nostalgia is weird. We've talked about this and how we can take a look at something that you and I have seen as kids, and it kind of goes into this beautiful, happy place in our minds and in our hearts, and we don't question it. We just think of Superman, happy memory. But now we're going back in a COMARAC, and I'm watching it, and it's categorically bad. It's just, there are some fundamental issues that I have here as a movie fan, as a critic, person who watches movies and just reviews it, who very much wants to make movies in the future. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, something's very, very off. And I don't know. I don't know why this is, but I only remember a specific part of the movie starting because I remember watching it and it was just like, maybe I didn't watch this movie. Maybe I have memories thinking, hearing about it. And because I heard about it, I think I saw it. But there was a scene that happened towards the middle of the movie where Richard Pryor is on a computer and he's trying to figure out what to do with the elements that he found in space to make Krypton. We'll get to that in a second. Yep. But
synthetic kryptonite, by the way, not kryptonite.
Right, and then he uses an element that's on a box in front of him, and he's able to make this new type of element. So I remember that crystal clear, but everything before that is I'm really hazy on the details. So just watching it now, it was kind of like a fresh take. And then when I got to that scene, I was just like, okay, now I'm reviewing it. So it was kind of like two movies for me in one.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say categorically bad, I truly do mean that, because we could talk about the beginning. The beginning is weird, man. It's really bizarre.
You were not
wrong. The movie begins it starts with Richard Pryor, and he's trying to get a job, and he can't get a job. So, after he's been denied in a very public, humiliating kind of way, he asks for a cigarette from a friend. Not a friend, but a stranger on the line, and on it he sees a job placement offer for learning how to do coding. In my mind, I always thought that he was a genius because he figures things out in a much faster way than just most people do. So yeah, I always considered Richard Pryor a genius. Yeah, comedic genius. He absolutely is. But just looking at it now, something didn't add up to me. I think he should have just started as a genius that was just down on his luck, and maybe that could have led to it, but that didn't happen. Fine, whatever. And then it breaks to the city to do the intro titles, and the intro titles and the people of Metropolis are vying for your attention on the screen, and no one's winning. And that's just terrible. I just don't know who decided to put these titles halfway on the screen while all of this action is happening. I don't know. It just visually, it wasn't very pleasing to look at. And I don't know. It felt like it was a waste of time.
I mean, no, I completely agree with you. Like, it's literally taking up half of the screen. It's like you're playing, split screen multiplayer back in the day when it's like two halves trying to compete on one television screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I said earlier that the reason that I watched the TV version was important, because in the TV version of this film, the credits are completely different. The credits are just like they were in 1 and 2, where they take place in space. And all of the stuff that's happening, there's no credits there. It's just everything that's happening.
And that makes a lot more sense. And maybe that's what I remember, because I was watching this. It was really hard for me to watch. I was just like, this is confusing. I actually remember just recently when you and I were watching it, I remember rewinding it because I was like, the credits are too distracting. It's just really too distracting. And whoever made that decision to say, like, yeah, let's make this the final version, should have been asked to leave the room and, like, think about the decision that you're making before you choose that.
Maybe the editor just really wanted to have their name be big in the credits, but then someone came in and was like, you can't have just your name be that big. And he was like, all right, I got you. And just made everybody's name big.
But it takes up half the screen.
That's how badly he wanted to be recognized.
So weird. I've never seen any movie like that, personally.
I mean, it's the 80s.
But that didn't happen in the 70s for the first two movies, and that's the problem for me.
Well, I mean, the first... I was going to say, the first two movies were made with genuine care, but I guess the first movie and then half of the second movie was made with care.
Right.
And 3 and 4 were clearly just cash grabs.
And I'm so glad you said that, because you said something interesting when you said, the first two and then they wanted to make a trilogy. I'm like, I don't consider this part of the trilogy. It's Superman 1 and 2. Stop.
Yeah.
Superman 3 and 4. Stop.
Yes. I agree with that.
So. I
agree with that. But having said all that, you bring up 100% valid points, and I agree with every single one of them. There are some good lights. There are some good things that happen.
I agree.
Again, I bring up Richard Pryor because every single time he is on screen, his physical comedy to me is hilarious. Just the faces that he makes, the way that he kind of walks around. In all honesty, I was legitimately chuckling at myself when he was doing the whole general thing. I don't know why, but like I'm just sitting here, I'm like, this is the weirdest speech ever, but I buy it, honestly. I'm laughing, and he's great.
Well, you don't stop being a comedic genius.
Exactly. So, him I loved. And then, of course, at this point in time, having seen these movies, all 4 of them quite a lot, Christopher Reeve is just Superman, right?
Of course.
So just watching him be on screen, watching him be Clark Kent, watching him be Superman is still always a fantastic joy to watch. Mm-hmm. And, seeing the 2 of them on there are great that they actually don't interact that much with each other.
No.
Which is weird to me, but in any case, when they do interact, they do have a little bit of chemistry there and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But what I did want to bring to the table too, the one other good thing that a lot of people bring up about this film is that it does have that really cool moment of the evil Superman, right? And Christopher Reeve, my goodness, this man can play an evil Superman.
Yeah.
Like, I bought into it. I'm like, oh, he's like really bad. Like,
yeah.
Just the way that he, like, the way he walks as the evil Superman, like he's slumped over, he's like walking slower. You can see it in his eyes and his face, like he grows like, a beard almost. Which, by the way, I feel like in another time, he could have been a good Wolverine too.
Oh, I 100% believe that.
Yes, because when he's like screaming at himself in the what is it, the graveyard? Not the graveyard. God, what is that area called? Junkyard. There you go. Mm-hmm. When he's like, telling Kent like, come on, and he's like screaming at him. I'm like, yeah. That is Wolverine. Like, that can be a Wolverine character for sure.
If I had to choose between the two people, like, yeah, Christopher Reeve is definitely up there, but I feel like person who would have had it perfectly, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood in a younger time definitely could have been a good Wolverine as well.
I mean, even in an older time, I feel like he is
could pull off an old man Logan.
Yeah, man, easily. I don't think he wants to do that now because
probably not.
He just wants to live the rest of his life in peace. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know.
Also, we got a really good old man Logan movie, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Logan is still so good. Anyway. But there's genuine moments like that, and they're sprinkled throughout. And then I really like the whole Lana and Clark situation that they got going on. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. I just like Annette O'Toole a lot, just because I spent so much time with her on the Smallville show.
Right.
Because she played Martha Kent on that show.
That's right. See, I don't have this context because I don't watch any of the CW shows, old or new.
Yeah, well, this was pre like the whole CW universe that they have now. This is when Smallville was it, basically.
I'm telling you, I watched a handful of episodes, and I'm like, he still doesn't have the cape. He still doesn't have the suit.
I mean, that wasn't the point of the show.
I know, but I didn't know that, and I got very upset.
Yeah. The point of the show was to see him become the man he eventually becomes.
Right.
And we didn't even see that, but that's something else for another episode too.
Okay, now we're getting to it. I know.
But we can discuss Smallville on a different day. It's a really good show. They do some things every once in a while that I'm just like, why? But ultimately, I thought it was a really good show. But going back to this, so yeah, there are definitely some good moments in there. But then they quickly get overshadowed by everything else.
I mean, I don't know if that's the right term to use. There's some glaring potholes. And when I say potholes, I mean Grand Canyons. It's just undeniable. Like,
they do take balloons into what seems like a Grand Canyon.
They do, but also Superman has powers that have amnesia, and I don't understand how somebody of such high intellect chooses when to use his power. For example, tell me why. We know that Superman, historically, just perfect context, if you're reading a comic book, he typically uses his powers in such a way where you know what he can do. He can fly. He has super strength. He has laser vision. He has super cold and very strong breath. Okay? We know that. He's powered by the sun. We know that.
There was one time in the comic when he sneezed and he destroyed a galaxy. Just saying.
That's the old Superman. We're not getting into that now.
It happened.
I'm just saying we're not going to get into that now. Not saying that it didn't. But please tell me why in Superman 3, when there is a giant fire, chemical fire, Superman does not, in any way, shape, or form, use his breath. I don't get that. What does he do instead? What he does is he asks for directions. Where's the nearest lake? He flies over to that lake, blows a sheet of ice over the lake, and then lifts that ice with his two hands. Not at the edge, by the way. Not in the middle, where ideally I think Superman could lift a sheet of ice that big. But he brings it over to the fire, and he drops it so it rains, and it quenches the fire. And all I could keep thinking is, that was just a colossal waste of time. I'm sure there was a reason, but when you watch the movie, there isn't. There isn't a reason.
And then my favorite part about all this is he does that, right?
Right.
He then uses his super breath 3 more times later in this movie.
In the film, and I'm like, why is Superman being
in
dick?
the same movie?
Why is he doing this?
One of which to put out a fire.
I understand. But it just keeps on happening. Now, there are some missed opportunities. The 3 villains in it is it's Ross Webster, it's Lorelei, and it's the sister Vera, I think her name is. Yes, so Vera. And they are played by Robert Vaughn, Pamela, I think it's Stephenson?
I think
it's Stephenson. And the Vera is played by Annie Ross.
Yep.
I like Annie Ross's character because
they keep ragging on her. It's hilarious.
I mean, they do, but she was like legitimately smart, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never really noticed that before. She was just an annoying character when I was a kid, but she like knows how to read books, and she reads things that other people won't like necessarily read themselves. So I think that she's smarter than the two of them, but none of that ever has any weight or meaning. And I don't know. I think it's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't, there's no payoff to it.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, she, looks this way, acts this way, but secretly she's a genius, or at least has a thirst for knowledge. Yeah. And she gets arrested.
Off screen.
I'm like, what is exactly? Like, this is a mess. So then, we get to the scenes where, Superman fights himself, and like I have very clear memories of that. And I was like at the edge of my seat, and I was just like, who's gonna win? Does Clark Kent really have powers? And he got crushed, and I'm like, okay, I don't think he would be able to survive that if he were just a man. Like as a kid, I'm just reasoning this out, and it just, and again, watching this, it's like it's worse than I remember, but I still love it. Because there's this moment that I remember that I can never, ever, ever forget. And I remember watching this as a kid and just being petrified. Right. And I didn't want to watch it, but I had to keep watching it. It was a scene where Vera is trying to escape the supercomputer, and the computer grabs her. I'm just going to call it Brainiac because, as far as I'm concerned, that computer was Brainiac.
So it 100% started as the script was going to be Brainiac versus Superman, and then somewhere down the line they changed it.
Right. So Brainiac grabs Vera, and it starts to assimilate her, and you see like the wires grabbing her face and like adding like these metal patches on her skin, and she's screaming in the camera, and I'm like, whoa, I just remembered the scene, and it just made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm getting these goosebumps, and like I'm getting the feelings all over again. And then she lasted for like less than a minute, and I'm like, that's it? That's what I was petrified over? It's crazy what nostalgia really does to your hippocampus.
Wait, you have a hippo?
So this movie is, and also like the last thing that I would have to say about this film is, I don't believe a film like this would work. Obviously, for reasons I get, like they're playing NES, at the end of the film, and I remember wanting to play that, but none of that stuff would work now. But like thematically, where I love Richard Pryor's character Gus, he was part of the crime, and I don't know if it would have just worked where he just gets let off. Like, it just felt like a very convenient thing. Like, if he was coerced to do everything, quote unquote, at the very least, he stole from the company. So, like, that was a crime that was not addressed.
Sure. But at the same time, I mean, if you think about it, like, at the end there, Superman's like, hey, do you have a computer? Do you think you can give Gus a job? I'm sure Superman was probably being Superman when the police showed up, and he was like, hey, listen, those are the guys. This guy, he's probably okay, so you can let him go. And they'll listen to Superman, I'm sure. So,
and listen, it's not like I wanted him. True. Yeah. But I'm just saying, for things now that quote unquote need to make so much sense.
Oh yeah.
I think that's just a glaring hole that I don't know. Like, that would have to be changed. Of course, I'm glad that he got away. I love Richard Pryor. His character wins at the end, but I don't know. Thematically, I don't know if that works now. It would have to take a different route.
Yeah, and this film is definitely a product of its time, right?
100%.
Especially, when you consider the entire reason for the movie happening is because this CEO wants to destroy coffee beans. And he gets mad because his coffee beans aren't making money. And so he needs to get rid of Superman because he saved the coffee beans.
In 1983, I can imagine how that would be a step up from Lex Luthor and his real estate investment plan. No, it's not, but, people are doing things for selfish reasons to get money.
Of course.
How you get money is debatable. Whatever. It's bad.
But there's also really interesting things here. Like, especially, us being, like, computer geeks today, right? In today's world, we have phones that can do anything. We have PCs that can run, streaming services. We can, like, run a whole company off of one PC if we really wanted to. Mm-hmm. And, you see this film and you see, like, the way that computers were at that point in time. And there's even a line when, Gus is at the computer class and this girl is asking a question to the teacher. And the teacher's like, yes, computers are very well advanced, but they cannot do this. And then Gus immediately does it. And the guy's like, how did you even do that? And it's like, it's something that, in all honesty, is so simple to do today. It's just funny to see the technology that they had in that time period where computers were on the rise. And it didn't even have like a graphical interface like it does today. It's all text, just like, that's how it started, right?
Right.
So it's just interesting to see that, and this is sort of a time capsule of a movie of like, okay, this is exactly what this era looked like in 1983.
100%. I don't disagree at all. I do think it's really interesting that the villain that nearly destroyed the hero was a computer.
Right.
I think that's really interesting. Like, Superman, the strongest person in the galaxy, is almost thwarted by a computer. There's a message that's being said here, and I think this movie was made to address some of those fears, and I don't know if we would ever really have the opportunity to truly understand what that felt like watching it in the early 80s.
Sure.
So, it's something, it is interesting watching today. And just, it's interesting to see because like we watched Back to the Future Part 2 and I'm like, that movie is ridiculous now. I thought it was cool right up until like 2012 and I was like, oh, I don't think we're going to make it.
we're not getting any of this stuff.
Like you have to call it at one point or another. Like 2013, ooh, I don't think so.
It's like, I don't think I'm getting that hoverboard.
Flying cars is not a thing.
No.
Flying cars is not a thing. But they do have Touch ID. That is absolutely a thing. Now, do we have it on doors? No. Do we need it on doors?
I mean, we're close.
It's 2020, guys. Get with the freaking program.
Yeah. We do have video chat though, so there's
we do have video chat. We do have hundreds and hundreds, thousands of channels. But now there's streaming services, so there's that.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I think this is a theme. Maybe we can continue watching old movies and just watch movies just for how they viewed technology or how they interacted with technology.
Yeah. So really quickly before we go, so I kind of mentioned earlier that I watched the TV version of this film. Mm-hmm. And the reason that that's important is because the version that I watched, I was pretty confident. I'm like, I feel like there's things missing here. Because I have, as we discussed earlier, I have like vivid memories of watching certain scenes.
Sure.
So I looked it up, and I didn't know this until, we were talking, that there are multiple cuts of this film, which apparently was not uncommon in the 80s when the movies came out in theaters. They would actually make extended TV cuts because that way they would get more money for advertisements in between them, which makes sense, I guess, on a business level.
Right.
But yeah, they would put in like extra scenes and stuff like that. So like at the beginning when everything is going all to hell around Metropolis and Superman is saving this guy from drowning in his own car because he bumped into a fire hydrant and that made his car start flooding. Don't understand. Anyway.
Neither why.
I don't know how that works. But anyway, he pulls the guy out, and then immediately after what happens, I believe, in the movie, it then cuts to like the oil rigs and stuff like that. What happens in the TV cut, however, is that right after there's this kid playing on a seesaw. Mm-hmm. And in the seesaw, the mom's like, okay, get ready. And then something falls on the other end of the seesaw and makes the kid kind of fly into a tree. And then Superman has to get the kid and bring him down from the tree.
Thanks.
So that was one of them. But then the big one that I always remembered as a kid, because I had always been confused about what the scene meant until I was older and I watched it again. Mm-hmm. So there's another scene. So this is after Superman has turned into like the evil Superman, right?
Right.
And he's like doing bad things. He's like moves the Tower of Pisa away and all this stuff. Which, by the way, those two scenes are really funny.
Right.
Blows the fire out, exactly. So he's this evil Superman now, and Lorelei, the smart one of the three, she basically cahoots Superman into destroying this oil tanker, saying like, oh, if you could do this little thing for me, I might do a little something for you. And so he goes, destroys the oil tanker, and then he comes back. And in this version that we saw, basically it implies that they're about to do the deed, as you will, and then it cuts away. However, and I found it and I showed it to you. What I remember happening, and what did happen in the TV cut, mind you, the scene directly following that, you then see Ross's sister sitting in a bed. She's reading a book. And you just start hearing gigglings and moaning sounds. And she's like, oh, God. And she puts earplugs in. And you still hear this woman giggling and moaning. And I'm like, did Superman really just do that right now?
Yeah, Superman did that.
So, yeah, that's why it was important for me to differentiate between the TV cut and this cut. Because TV cut's a little more raunchy.
I don't deny that at all. But, in the 80s and the 90s, I'm pretty sure their rules for what was considered acceptable fluctuate. It still fluctuates today. I don't even know how half the things get on television today. But
I know.
The one thing that I will say before we wrap up is I never understood the beginning scene where it's like filling up with water. Like nobody had a rock. Nobody could break the windows. Like it was titanium windows. Yeah, I don't get that. It's just, I'm like, okay, I think this movie is hanging already on a thread, but I'll let it pass.
There's already one thing that I don't understand either.
What's that?
Tell me, so we talked about his super breath ad nauseum already. Mm-hmm. So the oil, he reverses the oil spill that he destroyed. Oh my gosh,
don't even do it.
from the ship.
Right.
He then uses his super breath to blow the oil back into the ship.
No, directly back into the ship.
Directly back into... How does he differentiate between the oil and the water? That's my question. I don't know if I would use that oil afterwards.
I mean, you got Superman breath from that oil, so
yeah, pretty much. I don't understand this.
I can't wait to review Superman 4. That's just I'm
Listen,
ready.
I am ready to watch Superman 4. Superman 4 was my favorite of the 4 growing up.
I mean,
I recognize it is a horrible film.
I mean, he had a nemesis.
Talk about it.
He had a nemesis.
Nuclear Man.
Yeah, I mean, Nuclear Man is the S. I mean, he's the S. Ha ha ha! Look what I did. He's the bad guy.
The symbol means hope.
Yes. So I think that's all we have for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll tell you what, if you like what we had to say, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Jace Rockland, and Josh.
I am at JCA90. You can also find us over on the Twitter at FGC Podcasts, on Instagram as FGC Podcasts, or you can just email us at freshgeekcontext@gmail.com.
You can also visit our website at freshgeekcontext.com for articles, galleries, and videos, as well as Spreaker.com. Just search for Fresh Geek Context there or on any streaming platform for podcasts of your choice. It goes a long way for us to know that you're listening, and share with your friends so they can be Fresh Geeks too. Until next time.
You know, I really want to grab a shirt and the button-down shirt and just rip it open, but then I would damage the shirt, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but that would be your Superman shirt.
Yeah, but then the buttons are broken. I can't do it again.
I know. That's why you get another Superman shirt.
So just one shirt dedicated for Superman shirt ripping.
Or you get 15 shirts on wholesale, and then you could just rip them, need them. Or just use magnets.
How do they work?
Just put them inside the inseam of the shirt, and you just rip them open, and then they close back up.
All right, I have a new cosplay idea. Let's go.